Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Friday. Hope you have a phenomenal day. Nice green day here in the market. Bitcoin recovering good 3% bounce off that 58,900 mark. So heavy sweep of that lower liquidation level as expected, and a swift recovery here to this potential fake out area. So if you saw my analysis from yesterday, this is basically from last night essentially. Bitcoin is selling off, trying to recover. There's two possible scenarios. We either respect the descending trend line, which is absolutely broken at this point, and the price didn't pull back again to come down lower at 57K, which, by the way, is still a lot of liquidation there. And then we see here the secondary option is that 61,800 slash 62,300 as a rough estimate for that point of control, which we're seeing so far right now holding strong as a resistance. So again, we're going to see if that holds or if that's worth waiting. So there's a few patterns we want to kind of identify and double check. So we'll look at a few things here. First of all, let's go ahead and look at the backend data, work our way down. I want to say thank you to everyone who's always hitting that like button and or commenting below. Deeply appreciate that. Even the trolls that come through seldomly, they're less common on the Bitcoin analysis. They're more present on coins that are pumping when I say they might turn around. Kind of funny how that works out. But regardless of that fact, thank you so much for just being an awesome part of my life. So on the left-hand side, if you're not familiar, we got Bitcoin 7-day liquidation and 30 days on the right. And just kind of clarify here, there's more liquidation on the upside, upwards of about 64K. There's even a heavier concentration here at about 64.5. So when I was discussing with my community that, hey, we got some potential recovery options here, we were there's this area here. This is last night, the 12-hour mark. There's these two areas here, 61,000 and 62,000 that were likely to get swept. Those are definitely taken care of now. So if we take a look at the last 12 hours, we can see the scenario here has shifted where the price action is majority of it has been swept, right? So there's those areas there that just got taken out. So we see some late shorts here, upwards about 62,700. So the reason why I want to mention this is because that is a heavy concentration in one little area there. We got maybe about $1 billion worth of liquidation at 62,700. That has a target on its back now, okay? So I'm not proposing that we're just going to see 62.7 and then the price turns around immediately after that. But that's generally how it's supposed to work, and that's generally what we normally see. So just friendly advice: be very careful, shorting, because there's a lot of bullish convergence on the smaller time frames, which we'll look at here shortly. Even though I went into today thinking that, hey, it's probably a good idea to consider a short in the 62 to 63K range, I still think that's likely. We want to double check and make sure that we're not just taking a crazy short position. But keep this in mind too, Bitcoin being green on a Friday generally implies we're going to see a red Saturday and or Sunday, okay? It may even continue to pump through Saturday, and then Sunday we see a sell-off. One way or the other, Asian markets typically come in with with a lot of strength, and they'll take profits on those profitable positions, okay? So just something to kind of think about. Right-hand side here, we see we're in a bit of a gap here. So there's not a massive concentration on larger time frames telling us that we have liquidation as a specific area of interest, right? We got 64.5 and then what, 59,000? That's kind of, we're smack dab in the middle of that. So either way, there is a lot at about the 64.5 mark. So if we do breach 63K, then I would say 64.5 seems more probable. And if we take a look here, the delta is dissipating. So as I mentioned yesterday too, again, make sure you read through the trade alerts. Short liquidation delta is too high. Okay, I mentioned that. And to clarify, if you don't know what that is, the delta basically just implies that there was way too many shorts in the market at this exact moment. So when the price bottomed out, that's when you don't want to be a late short when everyone else is shorting. You want to essentially flip that, or shift the gears and essentially take a long. Now again, I don't like to take longs in situations like that when the price is still running. You never truly know where the bottom is, but there's always going to be some success there because once more, you're generally going to find that 4-hour RSI and money flow index bounce, which I talk about a lot in my videos too. I'll highlight that here shortly. So let's take a look at the daily and work our way down. And a quickly note here, basically on the larger time frames, we're still in a descending trend. So please don't get it twisted here, folks. Just because we've established higher highs and higher lows on smaller time frames does not imply that's shifted gears, so to speak, on the macro. So again, this is still somewhat of a flag pattern that could play out. Keep in mind that's a good thing if we break this descending trend, but we're not there yet. Okay, so we just got to recognize this is still somewhat of a trend that is descending, and unless we break through this, again, 63,000 is roughly that level. I think we still have a lot of reasons why the price would pull back. Okay, so again, I'm not attaching myself to a bearish or a bullish mindset. We just need to know that the overall sentiment here is not phenomenal, because if you look at the simple moving averages, they're all above the price action. Correction, the two important ones, the 20 and the 200 are above the price action. The 50 and the 100 is nice, don't get me wrong. It's good to be in between those and to have not lost that, so to speak. But the way that it works here in this circumstance is that being above all moving averages is good. Being below all is bad. Funny thing is, we closed below all moving averages yesterday, and it's as if that never happened, which is all the more reason why I kind of feel like this is a fake out. Again, look at this. Look at this amount of volume, and look at how high the price has gone. That doesn't seem sustainable to me. But once more, we'll double check that here soon. So if the volume continues to remain low, I think we're going to definitely short. Once again, just some things I'm thinking about. However, look at this here. We're now broaching or breaching rather. I don't think broaching is the right word. We're breaching 50 on the RSI, essentially telling us there's a bit of a shift in momentum here. Again, closing above 63K to me is that shift more so. But at this point right now, money flow index is still fairly low. That's going to be par for the course considering how low we've come in the overall sense here. So a lot of conflicting stuff, right? And generally when you see conflicting information, you don't really want to trade into that. So let's take a look at the 4 hour here and see what's going on. Let's go back to Bitcoin and let's see what the RSI is telling us. We're over 50 on the RSI in the 4 hour, also extremely beneficial. Even though volume is moderately low, we are breaking through some thresholds, right? Which is at 61.8, that resistance level, that potential fake out area. And again, just so you know, if you're not familiar, how I got this line is basically just a lot of candlestick closures here working as a resistance. It turned into a support. We lost that support here, and now we got to presume it's going to be a resistance. Keep in mind this candlestick hasn't closed yet. We got about 30 minutes left, but at this point, closing above that 61.8 is a positive sign. All the more reason why we're probably going to see that 62.7, that next area of liquidation on the smaller time frames, get liquidated. It would just make a lot of sense. Okay, anyways, that's kind of how this works. And then this is how fake pumps work too. They keep pushing the price higher and higher and higher, and then everybody right now at this point is like, oh my gosh, the charts are fully bullish. Let's go ahead and go long. And then instantly the price just comes right back down as if it never happened. So try to be careful doing that. However, I can totally side with the bulls right now. I mean, take a look at this here. We're over 50 on the RSI. Money flow index is still trailing behind. That's actually not a bullish sign. That's generally bearish, implying we don't have enough money flow to constitute this being a solid continuation. However, the MACD is converging, which is very normal considering how hard it got pushed down. And of course, our trend strength indicator is getting closer to zero. There's a lot of indications here that we are mostly back on track. Okay, so again, careful getting too hard, on longs, but it wouldn't. Honestly, it wouldn't be the worst thing ever because the way the Bitcoin dominance is responding, it's an interesting curve the way that things are happening. But a lot of altcoins are doing very well today. Okay? And in that sense, generally when they do pretty well, you might see a little bit more of a continuation followed by a retracement. So the hourly time frame, let's quickly note here, this is also going to probably give us a lot of bullish convergence, which it is here. If you take a look, we can see the lagging spans, free and clear conversion lines over the baseline. Everything that you want to look for in taking along with confidence is present. So again, it feels strange to recommend a short, which I don't necessarily think we should consider a short until the daily candlestick closes at the very least. I think if we close in the sub 63,000, there's still a chance of shorting. But again, a lot of it is based on volume. And truth is, while this isn't a ton of volume, it's still a lot more than we've seen in the first few hours of opening. So you don't really want to short into this kind of volume. It doesn't make a ton of sense. So the truth is, at this point, we are getting a lot of conflicting information. And generally, the best practice is to avoid a trade when that happens. Now, that could be a lot different when it comes to altcoins, because altcoins are surging today, and they may continue to run. Again, a lot of them, what we're going to have to look at is the coupling and how comparative they are to Bitcoin. Are they moving up exactly with Bitcoin? And what happens when Bitcoin pulls back? Are the altcoins doing the same? That's how you identify some outliers that might be some good runners for the weekend. But again, today, this being a Friday and just having such a good, glorious day on a Friday, I don't know. It seems kind of like, it just seems too good to be true. But that's just me personally being a little on the gun shy side, because there's been numerous times in the past here recently that we've been able to identify these kind of fake outs. And really a lot of it is boiling down to volume. So I would say the volume starts to taper off pretty significant, then it might be a consideration there. But if you do look here previous, we can see that there's a lot of examples as to the price able to sustain itself and leg up again after it breaks through a key level resistance. So we could very well be seeing a very similar circumstance here, where 64.5 is possibly the next target. So again, I know this wasn't a definitive direction teller here. I know for the most part lately we've been able to anticipate most of Bitcoin's moves, but right now it's in that weird little transition. And a lot of times like this, I just kind of prefer to keep my nose clean, I guess you could say, for the moment. Let everything pass me by. But again, I'm more of a conservative trader here. And at this point, even though there's a lot of bullish convergence, if you do end up taking a long, which again, we have a larger statistical probability of a long being more beneficial at this exact moment, you should absolutely watch it close. Make sure you don't just set egregious targets. Make sure they're relatively realistic here and closer. I would make sure if you're in a long, you secure profits somewhere between now and 63,000. Or more important, maybe an area here at that, 62,700, 62.7 seems like an appropriate consideration. Again, there's still liquidation to the upside here, folks, and I think that there's a solid chance we'll see the price run a little bit further before it pulls back. All right, I hope that makes sense. I'll go ahead and post a playout chart here on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord as per usual. Make sure you reference Bitunix too, folks. These guys are phenomenal. It's an exchange we've been using for over a year as a community. And to my community members, you have the option to benefit from this. All you had to have done is use my link to register in the past. So go ahead and use the link now if you don't have that feature, but easy deposit bonus rewards. These guys are awesome. Check them out. All right, thanks again. Look forward to seeing the next one. Have a good day.